That's right, ladies and gentlemen. We're back again doing some more Fallout lore. This time we're gonna take a look at the NCR. One of my favorite factions from one of my favorite games, Fallout New Vegas. And I know they're more than just Fallout New Vegas, but that's what I know them from. So let's dive right into it. From Oxhorn, one of the greatest Fallout content creators of all time. So much lore. The Fallout 1 and 2 series that he did. Absolute cinema. Absolutely phenomenal. So tell me about the NCR.
When the showrunners set out to make the Fallout show, they consciously chose to make a brand new story with brand new characters set after the events of all of the previous games. But by setting it on the West Coast, they had to tackle some of the places and factions that were already there and had already been explored in other games.
Yeah, and that's one of the reasons I absolutely love the Fallout TV show.
And one of these factions is the New California Republic, the NCR. The story of the NCR changed more greatly due to the Fallout show than the story of any other faction. Let's piece together what happened to the NCR based on the clues we get from the Fallout show and speculate as to what the future of the NCR looks like. It probably goes without saying, but this video has major plot spoilers.
Good thing I've already gone through the entire Fallout series. I know everything except for some little stuff about Fallout 1 and 2. I don't really know everything. I know the major stuff.
So if you want to avoid spoilers, turn back now. By the events of Fallout New Vegas, the NCR was a true nation, with a president, with a senate, with voting, with a standing army, and they were expanding east into the Mojave Wasteland. In 2277, they had already defeated Caesar's Legion in the first battle for Hoover Dam, and by 2281, they were gearing up for the second battle of Hoover Dam. Around this time, Rose McLean fled from Vault 33 with her two children, Lucy and Norm.
I didn't realize that it was that connected.
Because she learned that her husband, Hank, had been lying to her. She realized that something strange was going on in Vault 31. Perhaps she learned what Norm did, that the voting system for Vaults 33 and 32 were rigged, and overseers were always elected from Vault 31. Perhaps she divined the ultimate experiment of Vault Tech. She fled Vault 33 and stumbled upon the town of Shady Sands. Shady Sands was the first village the Vault Dweller stumbles upon in the very first Fallout game. After saving Tandy, the daughter of Aradesh, the town's leader, Shady Sands grew from a village into a thriving nation, but Shady Sands remained the capital of that nation, the New California Republic. Now in the games, the location of Shady Sands is a bit of a ways away from Hollywood, but in the show, apparently Shady Sands is really close to Vault 33, really close to the ruins of Hollywood Boulevard. The people of the NCR took road.
Is that a thing in Fallout? Is like Hollywood actually in the Fallout games? Did we got Los Angeles in the Fallout games? I didn't know that. I actually don't know where the first two Fallout games are based.
And her children in with open arms. There she found a thriving society, a civilization.
If you don't stop, I'm gonna slap the shit out of you. I'm tired of snapping my fingers at you. Fucking quit. If I tell you again, I'm gonna smack the shit out of you. I just love the way this looks. This looks absolutely amazing.
Everything the people of Vault 33 were supposed to rebuild after Reclamation Day. Everything Vault Tech told
If we could get a Fallout game that's like Baldur's Gate 3, that would be magical.
Her couldn't possibly exist on the surface.
34,000 people lived here after the war.
Yeah.
The entire purpose of my vault was to come up to the surface one day and restart civilization. It's Reclamation Day. It's what keeps us all going, and it already happened without us.
There she met Moldaver, who lived before the bombs dropped, and we don't know exactly how she's here 200 years later. Perhaps they'll expound upon that during Season 2.
I hope so.
And from all appearances,
I hope they don't just gloss over it.
She and Moldaver became close. But Hank couldn't let her escape. In his own words, he said that by leaving the vault, she essentially betrayed him.
I loved your mother, but you stopped being your mother when she left home. And she took you into danger.
She no longer
Danger.
was his wife. She no longer was the mother of his children. She was a kidnapper and a thief who had his children. That was the entire purpose of the Vault 31, 32, and 33 experiment, to create a generation of super managers bred from the likes of Hank McClain and other residents of Vault 31 and regular vault dwellers in 32 and 33. By taking her and Hank's children out of the vault, she ruins Vault-Tech's experiment. In his mind, that was all the justification he needed to leave Vault 33, presumably with Betty.
He took the children, and he burned that city to the ground.
Betty, when my mother died, what happened to her pit boy?
It was buried with her,
How are you so sure?
because I buried her myself. Me and your father.
They tell us this story in passing, but somehow he was able to go into Shady Sands, the capital of an entire nation with a standing army, and retrieve his children, Lucy and Norm, without either of them remembering it, and with apparently very little resistance. But the
Yeah, it kind of doesn't make any sense.
existence of Shady Sands, the existence of the NCR, was a huge problem for Hank McClain,
I guess it's just movie magic. It's video game lore magic.
because it directly conflicted with Vault-Tech's philosophy, or at least the philosophy of Bud Askins.
Our vaults have the resources to survive for centuries. Meanwhile, our competitors,
survived for centuries.
every other human who isn't us, will be dead on the surface.
Bud Askins had assumed that after the bombs dropped, either no one above ground would survive, they'd be dead, or if they did survive, they'd pose no threat to the surviving members of Vault-Tech and the residents of their vaults.
Yeah, I don't think anything went as they planned.
But here,
Everything
Hank
went all
McClain
wrong.
sees that that's not the case. These people unaffiliated with Vault-Tech not only survived, but thrived, founded a nation, founded a democracy. Instead of seeing this as evidence that Vault-Tech's experiment was wrong, he saw it as an obstacle that needed to be removed to prove Vault-Tech right. And so Hank McClain did the unthinkable. He destroyed Shady Sands. They don't tell us how. Did he drop a bomb? Did he fire a missile? Did he detonate something buried beneath the ruins of Shady Sands? We don't know. They don't tell us. Perhaps we'll learn more in Season 2.
Yeah, so many questions that need answers, and hopefully they answer them. Man, I cannot wait until Season 2 of Fallout.
But the evidence is clear. Shady Sands was destroyed sometime after the events of Fallout New Vegas.
We're careful about the timeline. There might be a little bit of confusion in some places, but everything that happened in the previous games, including New Vegas, happened. We're threading it tight there, but the bomb falls just after the events of New Vegas.
All that's left is a giant gaping crater. And here it is, 15 years later, it's still a crater, it's still irradiated, and the NCR has not come back to rebuild. This has left a vacuum. Lawless scrap settlements like Philly began to spring up, where there was no rule of law, where violence and murder was common.
This place is so cool. I really like it. I really like the vibes and how they use like old buses and airplanes and stuff.
And mobsters moved in to fill the vacuum that the NCR had left. We find some guys in cowboy hats and uniforms who claim to be part of the government.
Destroying a legitimate business? That's illegal around these parts.
Says who? The government.
But notice that they don't call themselves the New California Republic. They don't call themselves NCR. These people are not members of NCR. They're mobsters who've moved in to rule over Wastelanders in the absence of an elected government. A lot like
Yeah, they're the government.
Gizmo from Junktown in Fallout 1. Now, in name, Junktown was ruled over by Killian Darkwater, the grandson of the town's founder. But in practice, the richest man in town, Gizmo, ruled the town's casino, had enough money to pay for thugs, and used his mobsters to exert influence over the town, much to the chagrin of Killian Darkwater. Similarly, this guy offers protection to those who were useful to him.
That's the president of the government you're talking to.
You a president now?
Don't see why not.
Well, then you might want to hire a publicist. Cause this is the first I'm hearing about this outfit.
Somebody's got to step up and bring some order around here. You know why these boys brought you in?
Cause I f***ed up a poor defense gang affiliated organ dealership.
Yep, but that super duper mart you gutted was under our protection.
They offered protection to organ harvesters because they gave him some of their profits.
Man, it's just always how it goes with these evil freaks who think they can come in and take over people because there's no government there. They end up being the government, and they're always evil freaks every single time. There's never like good people who are trying to take up power. The only time that ever happens is by accident.
He's not related to the NCR. He's a mobster posing as a governor. From everything we see in the show, the NCR is gone, and they have no governmental structure in place.
They're not gone. They're definitely not gone. They're not going to kill off one of their most important factions like that. They might have somebody find NCR stuff and take it over, but I don't think NCR is just completely done.
But Lucy and Maximus find a billboard that tells us that Shady Sands was the first capital of NCR. Well, if there was a first capital, there has to be a second capital. This is news to us, because even during the events of Fallout New Vegas...
Yeah, NCR is just somewhere else. It's so widespread that blowing up one town isn't going to completely kill off the NCR.
Shady Sands is referred to as the NCR's capital.
Something the politicians back in Shady Sands came up with.
Politicians back in Shady Sands are completely detached from the people actually living here.
At some point in 2281, while they were actively moving into the Mojave Wasteland...
Yeah, I think New Vegas is probably home to the new NCR.
The NCR must have decided to move their capital someplace else. And that corresponds with established Fallout lore, because as a nation, the NCR spanned much of the West Coast.
And that makes it official, folks. The final vote count from the hub is in. 55% in favor of joining the new California Republic. All 5 states have now signed on, which means that as of this moment...
I've heard rumors, and there might be some actual fact in there, that they're going to be using New Vegas as a big plot point for Season 2 of Fallout. And I think that they might blow it up. I think they might blow up New Vegas because NCR is there.
We are all citizens of the new California Republic.
Just making predictions.
I'm sure that's going to take some getting used to for a lot of people. But here in Shady Sands, people have been waiting for this day for a long time. I think people are hoping the NCR will finally establish peace and prosperity across the whole Southwest.
Yeah, that's not going to happen.
It's quite a historic day.
Everybody, all these factions keep saying that, and they always ruin it because they get taken over by a bunch of weird, evil freaks.
People are always hoping for something better. They usually end up with something worse.
Yep.
However, for the purposes of Season 1, the show essentially equates Shady Sands with NCR, as if the two were one and the same. It depicts the destruction of Shady Sands to correspond with the destruction of the NCR. By destroying one, you destroy the other, which is why in the classroom in Vault 4, they don't just tell the history of Shady Sands, but they also tell the history of the new California Republic, as if they're remembering something that is now gone. Somehow, Moldaver survived the destruction of Shady Sands. Rose didn't, Maximus's family didn't, but Moldaver did. And again, they'll have to explain to us how she did in the second season. And even though she's well over 200 years old, she decided to take it upon herself to bear the banner of the NCR. When Lucy and Maximus go to Vault 4, there's a...
I think she might be a synth. If they can bring synths into this from Fallout 4, that'd be fucking awesome. I actually hope they do that. I hope that the original Moldaver is actually dead, and this is just a synth version of her.
Really weird ritual that takes place. The residents of Vault 4 are comprised from 2 populations. People who were born there, who descended from the test subjects who existed in Vault 4, and people who fled there for safety after the destruction of Shady Sands. It was the unique experiment of Vault 4 that made them predisposed to allow people into their vault, which is why so many survivors of Shady Sands took up residence in Vault 4. This community The survivors of Shady Sands took part in a regular ritual.
What's going on?
It's a surface dweller tradition. It can get a little rambunctious for my taste.
They stripped themselves naked. They covered themselves with the ashes of their loved ones. They coated themselves with human blood, chanting that the NCR will return, that Shady Sands will return, and that it's...
Yeah, this is some straight up Fallout shit. I love it.
The Flame Mother who will make it happen.
Flame Mother, we remember. Bring back the past as we remember. We bring back Shady Sands. We bring back those taken from us by covering ourselves in their ashes. To bring back Shady Sands, blood must spill. Oh, Flame Mother, you will be our salvation.
The Flame Mother is none other than Moldaver.
Now, what I am hearing is a whole lot of chatter about some woman. Name of Moldaver.
They call her the Flame Mother.
Why do you have this picture on your wall?
That's Moldaver.
That's not how I remember her at all.
Well, how do you remember her?
I'm a big fan.
Yeah, I think she's a synth.
I suppose it's no wonder...
Yeah, she gotta be. Like the dude from Fallout 4, because he was able to traverse time and not age. I think that he was a synth. I don't think that he was a synth. I think that she's a synth, just like he was. I kind of hope that's what they do. That'd be like impeccable writing and a callback to previous lore.
Why Wastelanders worship Moldaver, because Moldaver is immortal from their perspective. She's over 200 years old, and she survived the destruction of Shady Sands. They call her the Flame Mother because she keeps the flame of hope for the NCR alive. Moldaver...
Yeah, I don't think that's who you want the hope of the NCR to be weighing on.
...did what mobsters pretending to be governors never could. She inspired the survivors of Shady Sands, which is why she was able to gather an army together to occupy the Griffin Observatory and to turn that observatory into a headquarters for the New California Republic. Season 1 treats Moldaver and her ragtag band of troops as the remnant.
Yeah, I think that this is not the New California Republic. I think that there's an actual real NCR, and they're not going to like these people. And there's probably going to be a war, like a civil war in the NCR, and I think that'd be really cool. That's what they're writing it to be toward. I don't even know if they realize that or not. I hope they do, and they do that. And they don't just come up with new lore and mess everything up, because they tend to do that.
Of the new
they tend to not see where their writing is going because they have no idea what they're doing.
California Republic, as if it didn't exist outside of Shady Sands, while at the same time giving us a billboard implying that NCR does exist outside of Shady Sands. That Shady Sands was only the first capital of the NCR. This apparent contradiction gives us some problems. If the NCR does still exist out there, why didn't they ever come back to Shady Sands? Why didn't they try to hunt for survivors? Why didn't they try to save anyone? Why didn't they try to depose a bunch of thugs impersonating the actual government? Why didn't they try to rebuild Shady Sands? I'm not suggesting rebuilding it inside the crater. I'm suggesting rebuilding it outside the crater, you know, like where...
Yeah, like a new Shady Sands.
Philly was built. If the New California Republic exists as an entity outside of the general area of Shady Sands, why would they let Moldaver run around as if she's the leader of the New California Republic? Start building a militia as if that militia was the military of the new...
Yeah, I don't think it's going to go well. I think that there's probably going to be a civil war. If they were good at writing, that's what this would lead to.
California Republic. It could be that it's not a militia. Maybe Moldaver is like a general for the New California.
Like, we got a game that was based on, like, Revolutionary War ideas and, like, that kind of vibe with Fallout 4. I think that they could do it again, but make it about the Civil War and make an actual Civil War go on.
California Republic, and she was the NCR's response by coming back to this area, by building her army, and by occupying the Griffin Observatory. She was responding on behalf of the NCR against external threats If true, it would explain some of her behavior. When we first meet Moldaver, she's invading Vault 33. At the time, the Vault Dwellers thought these were all raiders, but if we take a look at their behavior, we do see two distinct groups. On one hand, there are people who are clearly raiders. They're addicted to drugs, they're eating everything they see, they thrive on bloodlust. But on the other hand, we do see soldiers who appear to be disciplined, who are working with a goal in mind. When Moldaver gets what she wants, Hank McClane, she spares the lives of the other Vault 33 residents and then blows up the door, trapping half of her troops inside. Well, why would she ever do that? I think she would only ever do that if they weren't her troops. Let's say Moldaver is a general working for the NCR. She needed inside.
Yeah, I don't even think so. I think she was trying to make her own group and take over the NCR, most likely. I don't know.
33 to get Hank McClane so she could restart Cold Fusion. But she doesn't want to risk Vault Tech knowing that she's part of NCR. She doesn't want them to know who they should retaliate against if they ever find an opportunity to. And so she promises a gang of raiders free run of a vault with food and medicine and chems and guns if they help her inside, without telling them that she'll betray them in the end. And
yeah, I really wonder what it's like to be like working with Vault Tech at this point. And like Vault Tech is not completely destroyed though. There's like still remnants of it, right? We just never really get into it. I don't really know much about Vault Tech, like where it currently is in the Fallout universe.
Trap them inside. And since they are raiders and not NCR soldiers, if they are captured and interrogated, Vault Tech could never trace this back to the NCR.
Yeah, I might have to do a Vault Tech deep dive so I can get a little bit of lore on that, because I don't know.
Any luck? I asked him all sorts of questions. Who he is, who he works for, why his colleagues kidnapped Overseer McClane, what organizing principle, if any, they operate under.
Yeah, he's probably too insane and retarded to answer. I don't remember. It's been a while since I watched Fallout TV show. I'll probably rewatch it right before season 2 comes out.
Nothing, huh?
But why would a woman working for ostensibly such noble purposes be so murderous and cruel? Well, if she's working for the NCR, then Vault Tech is her enemy. It wasn't the Brotherhood or the Legion who destroyed Shady Sands. It was Vault Tech, and inside Vault 33 was someone directly responsible for that atrocity, Hank McClane. It does seem strange that she would put the lives of the children of Rose McClane in danger.
It's crazy that we're hundreds of years later, and we're still warring with people that caused the war to happen in the first place to make the world go to shit. Like, it's crazy that it just keeps going. Just never ending.
Using this strategy, but perhaps she had given up on them. After all, they were adults now, having been raised by Hank McClane and Vault Tech. And
I hope we can keep this thing going all the way until we're like 1,000 years in the future. I really wonder what this whole world looks like 1,000 years after the war starts. Like in 3076, what is the world like? Is there even a world left?
She had no idea what their characters would be. At any rate, in her mind, she had a reason for violence.
I think it would be really cool for Bethesda to release a game that's like a futuristic game, kind of like Starfield, but more brutal, more like Warhammer, and then reveal after the game comes out, after everybody's played it, and be like, actually, this is Fallout 1,500 years in the future. That'd be so cool.
Vault Tech was her enemy, and
I don't
she
think
was
they're smart enough to do
defending her
that,
home.
though.
In this way, Hank McClane is right, and she's no different than him.
I did what was necessary to save our people. And that woman over there, she is no different than me.
The only difference is that Vault Tech actually did attack Shady Sands, but Shady Sands never attacked Vault Tech. But if Moldaver is acting as a sort of general for NCR, executing a mission in Hollywood to reclaim Shady Sands and provide power to the Wastes, why did they come with such few forces? During the fight at the Griffin Observatory, there were many Brotherhood casualties, but the NCR was completely obliterated, including Moldaver. If the NCR still exists outside of Shady Sands, I'm surprised their army here would be so weak and do so poorly, especially compared to the Brotherhood.
I think that's because there's branches of NCR breaking out, and there's probably going to be a civil war. I keep saying it, but I really hope that's what's happening.
Of Steel, which, according to the games, should be significantly weaker than the NCR, having lost multiple wars to the NCR up until this point. But then again, the Brotherhood of Steel didn't have one of their capitals bombed. Perhaps that's all the explanation we need. So what other evidence do we have that the NCR might exist outside of Shady Sands? Well, not a lot. But there is one thing that I noticed.
In the Fallout universe, nobody ever actually dies when it comes to factions. Factions never die, they just become something else or get taken over by somebody else. And it's still the same faction, but they do different things than before. That's what tends to happen in the Fallout universe.
You know, the music to the Fallout series is really well done. In particular, I think the Brotherhood of Steel theme is haunting and immaculate. But none of the music for the Fallout show carries the familiar theme that we all recognize as associated with Fallout. The theme that we hear when we first log into Fallout 3.
Yeah, it's like really World War I sounding,
the theme
you know?
we hear upon logging into Fallout 4. This theme is entirely missing from the show, except for in two places. The first time we hear this theme is when Lucy is in the schoolhouse of Vault 4. The background music is sad and melodic as she's looking at the chalkboard, but then she turns her attention to the NCR flag, and as soon as she touches it,
yeah, they were saving it.
We hear the
yeah, they were saving it for a moment to be like, hey, here's the song. And everybody like, yeah, there it is. That's exactly what that was for. And that's probably exactly how I reacted at that moment when it happened. I was like, there's the song.
Fallout theme.
It's almost started.
Yeah, I think they're making the NCR very, very important. And I really hope that's what's happening because I love it. NCR is my favorite faction.
The second time we hear it is in the next episode. Wastelanders sympathetic with the NCR are scavenging for lead. We are not told this directly, but
yeah, they might be giving the NCR the Fallout theme because they're making the NCR very, very important. Please let that be what's happening.
We can presume that they used to be part of NCR.
They have the coolest
because
armor.
They're using NCR Ranger armor. When Cooper Howard confronts the dad during this scene, we get a lot of his backstory that's not really touched ever again in the entire season. We learn that Cooper Howard and the dad had fought each other in the past.
I probably still got some of your lead in me somewhere. But today, I'm just looking for information.
There's still some of his lead in the ghoul somewhere, he says, as if they fought on opposite sides in some long ago battle. The ghoul just learned that Moldaver is the Flame Mother. He knows that she's fighting on behalf of the NCR, so to track her down to get his questions answered, he goes to someone he knows was formerly affiliated with the NCR, a former enemy. Perhaps this man fought in a long ago battle on behalf of the NCR, which is where he got his Ranger armor. It's during this lead farming sequence that we hear the Fallout theme again.
Yeah, it seems like they're dropping hints that the NCR are very important and like at the center of Fallout. And maybe the NCR is going to be the organization that ends up being the heroes of the future. That'd be really cool. And they really, like, are that. Like, if there's going to be a Fallout movie, the NCR is going to be the good guys, the actual good guys. Or the operation that the good guys run. There are definitely some bad guys. Pretty much everybody's a bad guy in the Waste. That looks like a Fallout 4 house. I love it so much.
Only 2 times in the entire series do we hear the familiar Fallout theme. And both times, it's when we're looking at something related to the NCR. Why? What's the significance of that? All we can do is speculate. But to help us along here, we can look to something that Todd Howard said in a recent interview.
Look, if you look at the background, the NCR is a wide-ranging sort of organization and group across not just California, but other places.
Yeah,
so.
wide-ranging, which makes me think that there are different factions of NCR. And it makes me think that there are going to be factions that have different ideas and different ideals, and they're going to be butting heads and probably going to be a civil war. Please let that happen.
The show focuses on this period of time and this group here, and that's what we could say right now. But I don't think you've heard the last of the NCR.
Yes,
yep.
Shady's.
Yeah, they're definitely going to be important in the future. Holy shit, just confirmed.
Sands is destroyed, but we haven't seen the last of the NCR. I speculate that the heart of the story they're trying to tell in the Fallout show is tied up with the story of the NCR. I don't know anything about the show that you don't know. I'm just speculating here. But we already know that the NCR is bigger than it's portrayed in Season 1. We already know that there were people willing to fight and die for the NCR in Season 1. And the series has tied this iconic and indispensable Fallout theme to the story of the NCR. I interpret this to mean that not only are we going to see the NCR again, but that the NCR is going to have an important and essential role to play in the upcoming seasons.
Dude, I cannot wait. I can see them like taking over a giant area and actually changing an area into being more of a normal, civilized area. Because they kind of did that in New Vegas.
But I'd love to hear what you have to say. Were you
I really want to play New Vegas.
Disappointed with the fate of Shady Sands as I kind of was? Do you think that it's an acceptable loss as long as they wrap up the story of the NCR in a satisfactory way in the future? Or do you think that the NCR can be damned and that the Legion should show up sometime? Let me know your thoughts in the comments section below. I publish new Fallout videos each and every week on my channel, so if you don't want to miss my next...
Yeah, on New Vegas, I usually immediately, as soon as I can, go to the Legion of Caesar's camp and just take them all out. As soon as they ask for my guns, I'm like, nope, I'm coming through anyway.
Next one, be sure to subscribe and to click that bell notification.
Subscribe to Oxhorn, this dude's awesome.
If you have already and you still believe...
I got him linked down there in the description. I plan to continue this Fallout lore series for a few more episodes, at least. Get some more backstory on some of the factions and some of the main places that just like always mentioned throughout all the Fallout games, places like Shady Sands. And I'm definitely at some point going to go through and play all of the Fallout games on my gaming channel, also linked down there in the description. I usually play older games over there on the Fables Folly gameplay channel. Like, comment, and subscribe. Ring the bell for all the notifications.